Hey guys, back again with another collab with my boy Sire. I think he's up here this time, usually he's on the side. But anyway, we're going to be talking about the possible relation between King Harold and Kaido. Now, I'm sure some of you have heard about this, but we're going to try to go as deep as we can in this video. So, first of all, King Harold we were introduced to relatively recently in the story. He is like the former ruler of Elbaf, and he is the father of Loki and Hyrule. So, what did you think when we first saw King Harold? Just right off the rip, because I didn't see this connection until it was pointed out by somebody else, and then I was like, "Whoa, this makes sense."
When I first saw King Harold, I immediately thought of Kaido. I'm sure they don't have like the same hair, but dude, the beard, the mustache, like the angry face too. Like they have the same disposition, right? Like it's crazy just looking at them side by side. Like you would honestly mistake them. Like if Kaido got a haircut, that's what he would look like, right? Like it's uncanny almost.
And that's what I'm saying. Like the beard is pretty much identical. It is the same exact beard. He has the same like structure and build. And weirdly enough, like in this portrait or whatever you want to call it that we see of him in that throne room that Luffy recently went into, the crime scene of where Loki had killed him, what was it, like 14 years ago or something, where there's still like the bodies and everything. He has like this, whatever he's wearing, his suit. I guess the other giants in Elbaf have it, but kind of looks like it has scales on it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just like the Elbafian aesthetic. I don't know, maybe it could be more foreshadowing towards Kaido's fish fruit, even though it doesn't connect, because how would he know, that he's going to get the fruit? It just may be some more foreshadowing from Oda. But let's go into why this would make more sense rather than it just being they look similar, guys, because this could just be a short or a TikTok. It's because of the horns, which I'm excited to get into, because for years I was always curious about why Kaido had these horns. And it's like whenever I tried to talk to somebody about it, oddly they would just like brush it off or like change the subject for some reason and not want to go into why Kaido has these horns. But we found out that King Harold and that some of the giants do have horns, because apparently this is from the lineage of the ancient giants. That's pretty interesting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, back in Wano we learned that Kaido and Yamato, they are considered Oni, which is a tribe or race that we haven't heard of before. And it's like, okay, that's cool and all, but like this, so they're the last Oni? Like what's going on with that? Right? And then go to Egghead and we learn about Buccaneers and a couple of other races. And now that we learn that there's like that Buccaneers are considered hybrids, we don't know like what you combine to get Buccaneers. It makes you wonder, are Onis hybrids of giants as well? Because like what if we have an ancient giant mixed with a human or something of the sort, and that's how you end up with an Oni like Kaido and Yamato. That's kind of what I'm assuming right now. And yeah, maybe King Harold just spread his DNA across the world. Like we already saw a perfect case where Loki and Hyrule, they're brothers, but they're not brothers like that, right? They have different moms. So King Harold is not shy of like spreading his seed like Genghis Khan. So yeah, like who knows? Maybe he did go off and, spurge out there somewhere with some woman. And then you have Kaido. And with how old giants live to, right? Like giants live up to like, 300 plus years old. Yeah, like timeline wise, it could have happened. It really could have.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that Kaido is kind of old for a human. Like, what was he, 60 or something, or in his 60s? But that's nothing to the giants. That's like a teenager to the giants, essentially. And the fact that we don't really get like the full backstory of Kaido. I mean, I guess we don't get the full backstory of most characters, but Kaido's backstory, as far as I know, starts when he's like 10 years old, right? In the Vodka Kingdom or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
And it was just like, yeah, he's a beast. He's 10 years old. He's already one of the strongest guys ever. And like they were trying to get him to come to Marines, but he didn't like the Celestial Dragons. Then he just went off doing Kaido stuff. Eventually joined the Rocks Pirates. But it's like, that's interesting that we don't see his parents or anything. And like I said, we don't typically see the parents. Like, we don't know who Whitebeard's parents are, Rogers or whatever, but Kaido, maybe it was purposeful that it was portrayed that way by Oda because, like you said, he was spreading his seed, which I'm not even sure we can see on YouTube, but we'll see what happens. Because, it was purposely pointed out earlier that Hirudin is of a giant not from Elbaf, right? A woman giant not from Elbaf. So that's why the whole throne thing was up in the air. He couldn't become. I'm saying that right? Hirudin couldn't become the king because his mother wasn't from Elbaf.
A true Elbaf citizen.
But as to where Loki's mother was, she was like a priestess or something, right?
Oh, we don't know Loki's mom's occupation. Loki's mom was like the queen of Elbaf.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I guess that's what it was. So that right there makes me think, okay, so he could have just went off and had a kid with a third person or even a fourth. And like you said, Genghis Khan, that was one of the parallels that was always drawn to Kaido. It's like, oh, he's based off of Genghis Khan. He's resemblant of Genghis Khan in a way. So maybe it could go all the way back to Harold. And then where did the whole ancient giant lineage come from in the first place? Because as far as we could go back, at least from what we know, there's ores, and then it's possible even before him. What is the Oni? Okay, I'm sorry. Here's where I was trying to connect this to. Kaido took over Onigashima, right? And then there's that huge skull on Onigashima with the horns, which it looks like an ancient giant, but it would be the biggest ancient giant ever, right? I mean, it would be the biggest person ever in One Piece, right? They would be bigger than San Juan Wolf, this skull on Onigashima.
Yeah, and the tough part is that I've seen a lot of people saying that it's a real skull, and I could see that, right? Somebody died and now their skull is this island, but there's also a chance that the skull is just built that way. It could just be all rock. But we don't really know. We don't know the lore. Like you said, we don't know the lore of Onigashima as well, right? It's kind of up in the air. But you're right, it does resemble ancient giants. I think it's very meaningful because if you look at Kaido and Yamato and compared to Oars and even Harold's horns, it's it comes from the top of the head, which is very distinct, right? Because we've seen other people with horns before, but typically they come from the mouth, they come from the forehead. But no, Kaido, Yamato, Harold, they all share that one trait. And I think there is a good chance that Kaido has that ancient giant blood. And, going back to Kaido's backstory, when he was 10 years old, he was a fighter. He was already fighting, and that is a trait of ancient giants, right? King Harold said that it's a fighting race, and he wanted to stop that. Well, we don't know what King Harold's all about yet, but he said he wanted to stop it, right? He doesn't look like a guy that would want to stop war. You see that guy? Oh, my God. Yeah, I'm stereotyping, but holy hell, he looks like a menace.
Yeah, he frowns the same way Kaido does when Kaido's not drinking.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy? Imagine taking a picture and putting it above the throne, and it's a picture where you're trying to say, oh, yeah, I want to spread peace and, build a school, and that's your picture. You're frowning. Come on, dude. And then you got, scars on your head. What's going on here?
Yeah, exactly. That's why, I think there's, obviously, that goes more into why Loki took him out, but, that's a whole topic for another time. But this would make even more sense, and I think it would be really cool to tie it all together, that Kaido is Loki's half-brother, and then Hirudin too, but Hirudin's obviously the run of the litter. He's not strong, but Loki is implied to be Yonko level, or at least was one of the Yonkos possibly in the past. We don't know, but, it's implied Shanks beat him and then became a Yonko, and it's he's built up to be such a big, strong dude. It's okay, Kaido is that strong because he comes from this lineage, and he's Loki's half-brother, which I think would be so cool. So fascinating. I just hope it doesn't lead to Kaido coming back. We've talked about this a few times. I'm hoping Kaido's dead, but I'm thinking that you want him to come back.
I want him to come back as a Kenpachi type of character where he's not good and he's not bad. He's just there to fight. He's Luffy, it's time to battle again. It's just something silly. But, going off on that point too, what I love about Kaido having this possible giant blood in him is that it would perfectly explain him and Big Mom's attack, right? Remember back on Onigashima, him and Big Mom did the iconic Doribrogi Ikaku sovereignty, right? They came together, they used an attack. Zoro barely was able to block it. He broke every bone in his body. And that's a giant attack. Big Mom grew up in Elbaf. That makes sense. And before that, we were like, oh, like, you know, Kaido, he's good friends with Big Mom. So yeah, maybe like they did this in the past and that's cool. But what if another reason why Kaido can do it is because he has that blood? You know, not just like, oh, like Big Mom taught him, but no. Kaido has that DNA. That's why he's able to use a giant attack with Big Mom. I think that'd be really cool. And, you know, I gotta say this, but if Kaido is the half-brother of Loki, man, dude, all that fighting DNA skipped a generation with Haruden. My God, that guy's a loser right now. I bet he'll look cool by the end of Elbaf, but based on Dressrosa, Haruden ain't looking too fire, man. You got Loki, possibly Kaido, and then Haruden. Oh, God. I know what brother we're making fun of.
Yeah, no, exactly. Whoever that woman was, just, man, she didn't have the right genetics.
Bones.
But I mean, it all checks out to me. I mean, we could go more into like why do some of the Flying Six have horns as well, but I mean, you know, maybe Kaido saw that they were also Oni or had ancient giant blood in them too, and then recruited them. Not really sure, but we can leave it off there. Kaido, possibly the half-brother of Loki and illegitimate son of King Harold.
Real quick, I got something to add on, just a small tidbit. But another thing with Kaido is that it would explain why he had those really dumb idiots on his crew. The what is it? They're called the Numbers. You remember them?
The Numbers, the failed giant replications or something.
They're failed ancient giant replications. They made no sense in Kaido's crew, but what if it's because Kaido felt like they were kindred spirits in a way?
No, it makes sense to me because why else would they be there? Why else would they be failed ancient giants? And the horns with Kaido and everything. Yeah, he feels some kind of connection to them for sure. I didn't even think about that, but thank you for adding that. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments.
Yeah.
Check out Sai's channel. I'll have it in the description, as always.